When I was in middle school, I made some video and posted on Facebook for fun. And yes, at the time Facebook was still alive. But most importantly, I got over 100,000 views. All my friends encouraged me to make it into a career, which makes sense because I already got a good start. If I continue making this video, I can get more attention. Eventually, I can monetize it. Isn't that something that you would do? Now let's be honest, if you guys were me, how many of you would consider making into a career, or at least your side hustle? Raise your hand, please. Great, thank you. That's what everybody told me, but I didn't do it. I didn't do it not because I didn't cherish the opportunity. I didn't do it not because I didn't like money. I didn't do it not because I didn't want attention. I didn't do it because I know it was a simple joy. I want to keep it to myself. And those videos have gone wild, spread around my school. All my friends saw it. Not only my friends saw it, strangers in the next classroom starting to talk to me. Even my old friend that we haven't talked to in 3 years text me about this. I was overwhelmed.
My goodness.
Yeah, I feel like there's a stone weighing 10 tons crunching on my chest that I couldn't breathe. But what makes it even more strange is that the first thing people say to me wasn't congratulations. It wasn't, how did you come up with that idea? It was, you should make it into a career. It was, you should monetize it. It was, you should become an influencer. All my friends said it, and many of you seems to be saying the same thing. I'm not saying you guys are wrong, but this just got me thinking, why can't I just enjoy my hobby for fun? Or why can't we just enjoy our hobby for fun? Why can't we just be authentic? What if we can just keep the joy just for ourselves? So I did tons of research, and I realized that it wasn't just my personal story. It was a massive, problematic cultural trend. According to Dr. Erin Check, in her 2021 research, she called this trend the passion principle. It's a principle that tells us we must follow our passions. That's the only path to be successful. And Dr. Erin Chen, for example, she gave an example that employers tend to hire applicants who show passion about their job. But she warns that this trend is a trap. This trend of hustle cultures acts like a throne of crown tightening on our head. It's a trap that tells us you must follow your passions in order to be successful. It's a trap that tells us your authentic joy is for self. But what if we can reclaim the choice? What if you can just become a photographer for another brand? What if you can just become a cook or another chef? What if you can just become a video gamer or another streamer? What if we can find a new way? That's why I believe we must embrace and keep the joy for you, not for them. That's why I'm here today to talk about the sustainability of authenticity. First, I will talk about why our hustle cultures has become a serious problem that erodes our genuine self and our authenticity. Next, I'll explain about the effects of these pressures on our mental health and our authenticity. And lastly, I'll propose a clear solution of how we can finally reclaim our authenticity. So in the end, you can keep the joy for you, not for them. Now, let's talk about why the problems of our hustle cultures. Our hustle culture has become a serious problem that erodes our genuine self and our authenticity by blurring the line between our private joy and public performance. The moment you post your hobbies on the social media, it's not your hobby anymore.
That's right.
It's content. It's not about your journey anymore. It's about their reactions. And you can feel your authentic joy that was meant for you begins to leak away and replaced by the anxiety of what will they think. And this isn't just a feeling, it's a known psychological phenomenon. According to Dr. Manhattan, who's a famous psychologist who defined a state of flow. A state of flow is an optimal state of consciousness, now where you can feel your best and perform at your best. And this experience is so enjoyable that people are willing to continue it even at great cost. And the key component of achieving this state of flow is by what he described engaging in autotelic activity, which means you're doing it for the sake of doing it, not for the future reward. You're photographing for the sake of photographing, not for the likes and follow. You're playing video games for the sake of video games, not for the attentions. Because our authentic joy comes from intrinsic motivations, which is a pure, simple love of activity itself. However, as Dr. Manhattan said, if we would try to add external pressures, like the one on the social media, we shift to intrinsic motivations. And this is what he called over-justification effect. This means you are no longer cooking, you are no longer playing video games, you are no longer photographing for you. You are doing it for the sake of likes and follow and approval of the others. And as Dr. Manhattan described, this is the fastest way to kill the authentic joy that you started with. Now I know what some of you are thinking. Just like you guys raise your hand and say, hey, Gary, why not make money? Why not just turn your hobby into a job? I mean, we are students, right? We still need to pay our tuitions. And that's a very practical concern. As a member of society, I agree that we all need a source of income to pay our rent, to pay our bill. However, what I'm trying to argue is when every hobby, every joy becomes a business. What happens with that? If there's no sacred place for us where we can rest, where we can fail, where we can be authentic, what happened is that we are not sustaining a business anymore. We are destroying our sanctuary. But what if we can build our little sacred place just for ourselves? As Dr. Manhattan explained, this sacred place is the only place where a state of flow can truly happen, where we can be truly authentic. So we must reclaim and keep the joy for you, not for them. So I have to show you why the hustle culture has become a serious problem by blurring the line between our private joy and public performance. Now let me explain the specific effects of these pressures on our mental health and our authenticity. This effect of constant public performance is a widespread rise in burnout, anxiety, and the fears of the beginner that cripple our creativity. When your hobby becomes your job, your rest becomes your work, your sanctuary is gone. And this will form the pressures that creates a fears of failure. We stop trying new things because we are too terrified. We are too terrified of being bad in the public. We are crippled by the medical of our perfectionism and shared inflame of our very own anxiety. This isn't just a theory anymore. This is a documented effect on college students' mental health, which is you guys. So according to a 2019 study posted on the Psychological Bulletins, and this research is about the anxiety of socially described perfectionism on college students. And this research found that college students with socially prescribed perfectionism has dramatically increased since 1989, as you can see this slide here. This is a belief that your social contents, your family, your friend, your followers on the social media has impossibly high standard for you. And this study proved that this is one of the strongest links to your severe anxiety, depressions, and burnout. We are not just being anymore. We are performing. We are burning out before we can even start a career. Now some of you might think, hey Gary, I post my hobby online, that's how I build my community. I feel less lonely in this way. How can I be a bad thing, right? And I agree with you, building a community is a wonderful thing because that's the original purpose of social media, right? But what I'm trying to argue is sustainability of authenticity. What I'm trying to highlight is the effects of when we only share with community, but we keep nothing for us. As Dr. Eric Check in her research, The Passion Principle, she said that when our hobby or our passions becomes our entire identity, we are left with nothing but performing for our audience. This is not community anymore. This is a tyranny of the crowd. But what if we can sustain our authenticity? What if we can refill the well of ourselves before we share with the community? That's why I believe we must sustain our authenticity first. That's why I believe we must embrace and keep the joy for you, not for them. Now I have to show you the problems of our hustle cultures, and I just explained the specific effects of these pressures on our mental health and authenticity. Now let me propose a clear solution of how you can finally reclaim your authenticity. The solution is to regain our authenticity by consciously build a sacred place for ourselves, free from any audience, a place where we can be beautifully imperfect, a place where we can be enjoyably terrible, a place we can be messy, all in private. Imagine you picking up the guitar and start to play, but all the fingers are wrong. Have you tried to record your own voice when you sing? It was terrible, right?
Yes.
But imagine that. But instead of being embarrassed of yourself, you just laugh. Imagine you try to bake a cake or cook a meal, and it looks disgusting. Now you don't want to eat it. But instead of being disappointed to yourself, you enjoyed it. That sacred place is not isolation, it's liberations. So according to the author Daniel Pink in his book The Drive, he said that our intrinsic motivations lays on these three pillars, which is autonomy, mastery, and purpose. So the solution is to rebuild our authenticity by focusing on these three pillars. However, when we post our hobbies on social media, we lose our autonomy, which means we are no longer in charge. Our audience is. We lose our mastery. We are too afraid to fail, so we stop growing. We lose our purpose, our authentic joy replaced by the anxiety of what will people think. So the solution is to build a place where we are in charge, where we have freedom to fail, and where our only purpose is to reveal our authentic joy. Now some of you might thinking, Gary, are you trying to suggest that we should delete our social media and become hermits? No, the solution is not become a hermit, because I am not anti-social media. I am pro-authenticity. This is about balance. This is about the choice. This is about keep the joy for you, not for them. Let's say our life is 100% public, and we can turn like 100% into 90%, and we keep that 10% just for ourselves. This 10% is not isolation, it's self-preservation. This 10%, as author Daniel Pink said, this 10% is where our autonomy is, where we are in charge, where we have freedom to fail, and where our only purpose is our authentic joy. And this 10% is where the state of flow can truly happen, where we can be truly authentic. This 10% is our sanctuary. This 10% is the anchor that keep the joy for you, not for them. So in conclusions, I've talked about the problems of our hustle cultures. I explained the effects of these pressures on our mental health and our authenticity. And I just proposed a solution of how you can reclaim your authenticity by consciously build your 10% sanctuary. So finally, you can keep the joy for you, not for them. And remember, I'm not asking you to delete your social media. I'm not asking you to quit your side hustle. All I'm asking is to build your 10% sanctuary where you can be imperfect, where you can be terrible. So tonight, sometime in this week, I challenge you. I challenge you to do one thing you love. Go for a walk, picking out the guitar, playing video games. But do not post it, do not share it, do not tell anybody. Let it be messy, let it be imperfect, and let's fight to make a world where our authentic joy is not for self. And let's build a new bliss where we can finally keep the joy for you, not for them. Thank you.